The 2024 MLB season is a few weeks old. Time to check in on the attendance figures. Is this going to be a good year or a bad year for Major League attendance? Your first reaction is probably to say it's too early or we won't know till the end of the year. Attendance always picks up as it gets warmer, but whatever we see in April, when compared to the past year, usually sets the tone for the rest of the season. A little background in case you haven't kept up on it the last 20 years. The 2000s were a great time for MLB attendance, peaking in 2007 with a total attendance of almost 80 million, average attendance 32,696 per game. A little down in 2008 as the economic downturn began, down more in 2009 as the economy got worse, and the two New York teams moved into smaller venues. After that, attendance continued to slowly trend downward. A little rise in 2011, a little more in 2012 when the Marlins moved into their new stadium. Then from 2013 to 2022, a span of 10 seasons, attendance went down every year except for a very small rise in average attendance in 2015. 2020, no attendance at all. 2021, fans allowed in restricted numbers. 2022, everyone's free to go back to the ballpark. Many expected a big surge in attendance. But it continued to follow the same downward path seen before 2020, hitting a 27-year low of 26,567 fans per game. Then in 2023, new rule changes were introduced to speed up the game. Now going to the game was a 2.5-hour commitment instead of 3 hours plus. New schedule where every team was facing every other team. Now people saw a greater variety of teams visiting their cities. Good weather, WBC just before the start of the season. All that and more resulted in a big rebound in attendance, 29,114 per game, a 6-year high. That's great and all, but like I said a year ago, it could just be a one-year thing. Maybe everyone was so excited to get out and experience the game with the new rule changes in person, and after one season they got that excitement out of their system. Maybe the novelty of teams from the opposing league coming to town that you'd never seen before starts to wear off. And of course there was no WBC in March to get people in the mood for baseball, just spring training as usual. So this season is the big test. Any rise in attendance would be really good news for Major League Baseball. No change or even a small drop from last year's figures would still be good news. On the other hand, a return to the 2022 numbers, or worse, a continuation of the downward spiral, leaving 2023 as an outlier, would be a major disappointment for a league that's already changed so many things to try and bring back fans to the games. A new normal of 29,000 plus in attendance and holding steady, rather than 26,000 and falling, is what they're hoping for. So here we are, 3 weeks into the 2024 season. April attendance is always a bit low. Last year it eventually reached 29,000 by the end of the season, but at this point last year, with 280 games played, it was 27,072. This year it's 26,654, down 418 fans per game on average. You might at first look at that and say, the novelty wore off, we're back to falling attendance numbers. But like I said, a very small drop is not so bad, as long as it's not reverting to 2022 figures. And even if there is a slight drop-off this season, there are reasons to be very optimistic about the future of MLB attendance. The team with the worst attendance by far is, no surprise, the Oakland A's. The team is leaving after this season. The fans are not happy about it, and are showing their disgust by not showing up. Right now they're averaging 6,244 fans per game, down from almost 11,000 at this point in 2023. Every other team gets at least 14,000. This is a unique situation that makes one team's attendance really bad, and that brings down the average for the whole league. The situation will be a little better next year when the team is in Sacramento. The team's attendance will still be way below league average. Sutter Health Park in Sacramento has a maximum capacity of just 14,000, but it'll definitely be better than what it is now. So what would attendance look like if the A's were playing in Sacramento? Let's say Sacramento averages 12,000 per game next year. Take away Oakland's current total attendance of 81,167 through 13 games. Replace it with Sacramento having 156,000 in the same number of games. And attendance would only be down 151 per game, almost no change from last year, and close enough to where the overall league attendance could easily turn positive sometime during the season. And it'll still be an unusually bad situation where the A's are playing in a park with a very small capacity. If all goes as planned, the A's will move into a new 33,000-seat ballpark in Vegas, where they'll no longer be pulling down the league's attendance. Or alternatively, the deal falls through for Vegas and Sacramento builds a new ballpark, where the A's can get more respectable attendance figures. My point is that once the A's situation becomes normal, everything should be alright. If we remove the A's from this year's attendance figures and just average the other 29 teams together, it comes to 27,648, an increase of more than 500 fans per game from this point in the season last year. So if it weren't for this ugly situation and the A's were able to get average attendance, whether it be in Oakland, Sacramento, or Vegas, then MLB average attendance would be in positive territory. Another team that's been a drag on attendance for years is the Tampa Bay Rays, and this year is no better, well below the league average at 16,114 per game. That's down 1,972 per game from last year. The Rays always have poor attendance figures despite putting a winning team on the field most of the time. Two major reasons for that: ugly ballpark and poor access to it. Tropicana Field is continuously rated as the ugliest stadium in Major League Baseball, and even for those who don't mind that sort of atmosphere, it's hard to even get to the ballpark from the city. The field is in St. Petersburg, and most of the population is in the city of Tampa. There's only one bridge connecting the two, and the traffic going across is just terrible. The first problem will be solved by the opening of a new 30,000-seat ballpark in St. Petersburg, which they plan to have ready for the 2028 season. We don't know what it's going to look like, but we can say for sure that it'll be an improvement over Tropicana Field. They're not going to build something uglier than what they've currently got. It'll look better and will have some positive impact on attendance. The problem is they'll still be in St. Pete and not Tampa where all the people are. One thing that might make it easier for them to make the trip is a new bridge being built. No, it doesn't mean there will be two bridges. They're tearing down the old one after the new one opens in 2025. But they say it'll be built in a way that'll make traffic run more smoothly. How much more smoothly, I don't know. But the worst case scenario is that the new ballpark and the new bridge only result in attendance being a little better. I don't think the Rays will catch up to the MLB average in attendance, but there will be some improvement for sure. But that won't be happening till 2028. For now, the important thing for the whole league is that attendance is just below last year's numbers, which was a really good year, and it's close enough that we could see the number turn positive by the end of summer, despite the uniquely horrible situation in Oakland. Some are fearing a repeat of the Oakland situation on the south side of Chicago. The Sox want to get a new stadium built in the area, but are having trouble doing so, leading to rumors that the team is relocating to Nashville. But it's not going to happen. Nashville's getting an expansion team. The White Sox may leave Chicago someday, but it's not happening in this decade or the next. Attendance is bad there because the team is bad, and probably will be for a while. In a few years, when the team turns things around, attendance will get back over 20,000 per game. So I'm optimistic about MLB attendance, this year, next year, and beyond that. 2 years ago things were looking pretty bad, but the rebound started last year, and looks like it's on track to continue. What did not rebound last year was the viewer ratings, and at the start of the season it looked like the rule changes and new schedule were going to result in a huge rise in the ratings. Early season ratings were very good compared to the previous year. All that changed a couple months into the season when ratings went into reverse. By the end of the season, networks reported small gains in the ratings, but it was all attributed to the first 2 months of the season. And again in 2024, the ratings were fantastic for opening weekend, big increases from a year ago. But will something turn people off at mid-season like it did last year? That's what we can't answer yet. It all looked great a year ago at this time. Then all the gains were nearly erased by the end of the season. Then came the lowest rated World Series ever. Ratings for MLB's biggest event had been trending downward for decades, and it was the absolute worst in 2023. We won't be able to say MLB is truly going in the right direction till attendance is up and ratings are up for the entire season, including for the World Series. Anyway, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments. That's all for this one, and until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya!